Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, the Weekend Games, a weekly segment I do every few weeks, sometimes even every month or so, sometimes even later. But here we are, so let's make the most of it. Ho, ho, holy smokes, it is Christmas season already. We've gotten through Thanksgiving. I don't think my waistline got through unscathed, but it is content. In the Pacific Northwest, we've had the highest rain ever recorded in November. And so it was a wet, wet month. There were streets flooded that I used to drive through on my way up to go fishing that were literally lakes with roofs sticking out from the water. So I'm glad to see that things are going to start calming down. Yeah, because yeah. Water and board games don't mix, so I have a pathological fear in that regard. So anyway, I want to also shout out not once, but again to my Secret Santa 2021 for Board Game Geek. Not only did he give me two really, really highly coveted games that I was looking forward to, I thanked him and sure, like, he's like, you know what? Here, have a third game. And so he sent me Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which is great. I bought two copies of the big Gloomhaven, and over time I started just like letting them stay at other people's houses and do sleepovers with other people. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? Just keep them because I was having no time at all. And they were able to get like gaming groups going and play through the campaigns, and I got just as much fun out of it. So Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lions is a much more concise, consolidated version of the game, and I'm already starting to go through it, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the little tweaks and changes they made for people who don't not necessarily have the time or space for wide-scale sprawling adventures. And so, thank you. Thank you, thank you. If I haven't thanked the Secret Santa, not only that, but the Secret Santa dropped a major hint. He said behind me there were games that he had worked on, and so I'm trying to guess. I told him not to tell me that I want to try and guess by Christmas who this mysterious Santa is. But somewhere framed in this video, somebody back there is a generous, is a great designer and a generous Santa. So anyway, that's that. Let's go to the next topic. I want to shout out to my friend Jared, who recently moved to Idaho. So we're not nearby anymore, but he had a great suggestion that I think everyone will appreciate once he thought about it. One, a lot of times when I'm doing top 10 lists or whatever, I tend to put a picture of the game up in the top uh, right for a couple seconds, and he's like, "Dude, make it go longer for people who want to actually like make it go like longer." So I'm gonna make sure and do that. That's a great helpful tip. I think that that will be appreciated by more than him. So anyway, the other thing is I'm having thoughts maybe to get your insight on, but uh, I don't do a ton of reviews. Part of the reason is I'm generally lazy. I love talking about board games, but doing all the editing to even get the low budget level of videos that I do in, sometimes the overhead, I'm like, this and that. And so I'm thinking of it's doing video series. I'm a big fan. If you do a review of a game, I am really, 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 really big on showing the game or at least something about the game being played. There are some reviews that are like, hey, let's talk about this game. And then you never actually see the game, which doesn't help you if you're brand new. If you've already played the game and you just want someone's opinion, that's valuable. But for people like, I'd like to actually just know kind of what the game is about. Not that I'm a great explainer all the time, and I tend to be meandering a bit, like now. But I do think it's valuable when I do a review to say, here's what the gameplay is for people just brand new to the idea of this game concept. I don't ever want to forget that. At the same time, my throughput's very low, which is fine. I mean, I'm not doing this for anything but the hobby and for the great people I get to talk to. But I'm thinking of doing a just sort of like a threshing floor where I basically kind of go over really quickly any, some games that either I didn't have the mental moxie to either like or despise enough to really feel like reviewing. And generally, I rarely despise a game. There are exceptions, but rarely I don't. And so I'm thinking of doing that as maybe a next kind of series too. We'll see. That's it. Let's get to the news. Something more tangible than just my meanderings. All right, we got some exciting news. Skyrim, the computer game I spent many hundreds of hours inside. And now there is a board game making its way on Kickstarter. It's already millions of dollars backed and stuff. It's from a company that I was a little shaky on at first. There were some issues early on a few years ago, but I've kind of watched them, and recently they seem to have kind of learned from lessons from the past, which is who isn't, and done better. So I'm going to go ahead and back it and give it a try. It looks really very much like a translation. Like there's not a lot of like reimagining or re-envisioning. It's like the Skyrim experience on a board instead of a flat screen. Still several hundred dollars, so it's a big risk. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't usually do that for that, but I'll give it a shot. If for no other reason, then my buddies won't feel compelled to have to. In other news, there is a series that's been around for many decades called Mystery Rummy, and it is Mike Fitzgerald, the guy who does Baseball Highlights, 2045, etc., does, and he's integral too. And it's basically you play Rummy, but there's a twist to each one. There's Jack the Ripper, Jekyll and Hyde, Escape from Alcatraz. There's a new one now called Detective Rummy that they're coming out. It won't make it this year, but it should make it next year. Detective Rummy is a little bit of a campaign. It breaks away from the usual, like, we're just playing Rummy with a twist. It's like, we're going to play several rounds of Rummy with a twist with cases and solving cases. I really like every Detective Rummy that they've come up with. I've been very impressed with that, so I'm going to give that a shot when it comes out. And finally, there's a new strange game called Crescent Moon, which is coming out. It's an asymmetric area control game in the Middle East. And it's imagined being like, it's from the designer of Dune and Chaos in the Old World. And so when they say asymmetric, they mean it. It's supposed to be somewhat of a coin game vibe, but in this sort of, I hesitate to say fantasy, but this fantasy Middle Eastern kind of, not modern, like historical lore, Tales of the Arabian Nights feel, at least from the artwork anyway. The only thing is from Osprey Games, which does Undaunted, Reinforcements and Imperium Classics, and I think it's Imperium Classics. If not, I'm a liar. And so I really like that. The only downside is that it's 4 to 5 players, which is not going to work for me. I don't know that I will go ahead and pick it up personally because even coin games, you have to have a 1-player equivalent, or it has to at least kind of be able to work with lesser player counts. And this is not going to be. I just don't have that many people anymore that can sit through my gaming sessions. Kidding. Now, I have a good group of people, but they're not generally the ones that I can get 5 at a time to play for a long time. Envious of those who can. So anyway, let's get on to the question of the week. I have a question for you guys. Maybe it's tangential, maybe not. I have spent years gaming with the same chair. I have a solo gaming chair, a multiplayer gaming chair. I like my chair. I got it several years ago. I mean, I love that chair. It's been like a second butt to me. I absolutely excited with it until a couple days ago when in the middle of a Zoom meeting, it shattered. And down I went. And it's done. It's toast. And so I ordered the Amazon quick 2-hour delivery of a chair, and I despise it. So before I go trying to reorder the same chair again, I question for you: do any of you have like a nice chair recommendation that you do when you're gaming? Do any of you even bother? I mean, when I'm at conventions or whatever, I'll sit whatever chair. I don't care. But if I'm going to be gaming for a long time, because it's the same chair I use when I'm doing videos or writing code, and so that might play a part in it too. But yeah, let me know. Do you have a particular gaming chair that you like, one that won't shatter into a million pieces and break your heart, so to speak? Not really. So anyway, let's get on to 3 games. Okay, game number 1, Picture Perfect. This has been the sort of the buzz the last couple of weeks online. It's a fun little game where you're trying to arrange everybody just right around the table to make them all happy. You take a picture with your phone, etc. It's just arrived recently, like 2 days ago, and it looks cute. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Small World of Warcraft for only 20 something bucks, 25, 26 bucks. I loved Small World. I played it to death to the point that I'm kind of done playing it, but I do like World of Warcraft and the variants, and like for 24 bucks, what the heck? I played it a few times and give it to a stranger. And finally, we have Amun-Re, the card game. I got this for free because I ordered more than a certain amount of money on a particular board game online store. Yeah, that generally doesn't bode well if you're giving it away. I haven't opened it yet. I haven't decided what to do. Let me know if you've played this and if it's the cat's meow. And last in my 3 games, because I can't count, Seize the Bean. This is a game kickstarted almost 4 years, 3 or 4 years ago, that seemed like it was never going to happen. Although I didn't feel like it was going to be like highway robbery, like A Dog's Life or Sea Rovers, which were flat out thefts. This was just someone who's basically just, yeah, like, I don't know. They put everything they could into this game, and I got to tell you, the components are easily the most amazingly articulate, ornate, detailed things I've ever seen. The sugar cubes feel like sugar cubes. I would be hesitant to have them in my kitchen for fear of them being mistaken, but it's big. It weighs about 75,000 pounds. Gameplay-wise, I don't know. We're going to have to find out because I haven't bubbled it up on my queue yet. So there we go. Now let's get to my Tim machine. Okay, the year is 1999. The top story is preparations for Y2K. That was a fizzler, wasn't it? I didn't, we had some, I was in the technical, so we were like, yeah. I just didn't get the vibe that it was going to be a big deal, and sure enough, it wasn't. So anyway, top movie was The Sixth Sense. I have yet to see that one. I'm worried I'll be incensed by it. But yay, it was very popular. The top song was Believe by Cher and Cher Alike. The book was Assassins by Jerry Jenkins and Tim LaHaye. This is a fictional retelling of the Book of Revelation, which, while amusing as a follower of Jesus, I have a different interpretation of Revelation that isn't quite so fanciful. Nevertheless, that was the top-selling book that year. What did I play? Apples to apples, because when you have toddlers, you find games that don't make you engage, or else it just gets really frustrating, particularly when they're running around and having fun and loud. What game would I have bought if I knew then what I know now? Well, that's easy. Paths of Glory. Can you believe it's 22 years old? Wow. Yeah, World War II GMT game. I only recently got it, so clearly I'm behind the times on that. What game did I want to play was Battle Cry. This is the prelude to Memoir 44 and Battle Lore and some of the other great games that came out. But yeah, this was, I ended up getting a copy from a friend in the Midwest who sent me his copy just out of the kindness of his heart, and then about 10 years ago, I really liked it. It's a fun little World War One game. It's a fun little Civil War game. Okay, the year is now 2000. Dun dun dun. 3 zeros for your chewing pleasure. The top story was the internet stock boom and then the dot-com bust. This was when things went awry, and I was knee deep in the thick of this at the time with the dot-coms because yeah, it was definitely my first foray into like, oh, companies are falling out from under me. Job stability in this particular time is not assured. Made it through though. Thank you. The top movie would be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I can't believe that's 21 years old too. That's almost 22 years old. That's just amazing. The favorite song was Breathe by Faith Hill. Probably something for all those .com investors to do, right? Because that's probably all they could afford. Anyway, the top book was The Last Precinct by Patricia Cornwall. No idea. I've never read it. If it's the last one, then I don't know that I'll... I'm kidding. Maybe I'll check that one out. Anyway, what did I play? Citadels. This was the Bruno Fatuti game with the butterscotch pieces that so delightfully, like, it was a crazy fun little game. It's It's all about building up your citadel, but there's some nasty cards. It's a role selection. You pick a different role, and as those roles play out, you can mess with other people or beef yourself up or clever. I'd still play it today. Actually, they've done a reprint of it, I think, although I sure hope they kept the butterscotch pieces. Anyway, what game would I have bought if I'd known then what I know now? Well, I would have bought Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit. I would have probably bought several of them. Yes, yes, I would have. What game did I want to play? Lord of the Rings, because that is my vibe. I love me some Lord of the Rings. All the Lord of the Rings. I need all the things. And that's it. That's what we have. I hope you guys are having a great early December as we look forward to Christmas. So we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.